Good morning. Time now 1 minute past 8 a.m. On the Friday, May 17th, 2024 in Japan Standard Time. Welcome to another edition of the World Bank Tokyo online morning seminar program. My name is Koichi Omori. I am a Senior External Affairs Officer of the World Bank based in Tokyo. We organize these online morning seminars to introduce the latest World Bank report presented by the authors of those reports for the audience in Japan. Today, this morning, we are going to feature the Digital Progress and Trend Report 2023. This was released for the first time on March 5th, and I think this is going to be released periodically from now on. And then we actually planned to organize this online seminar on the May 7th, but we had to reschedule, and then we are now holding this one this morning. Thank you for joining us. So with us connecting from Washington, we have Yan Liu, who is the Senior Economist in the Digital Development Global Practice and the task team lead author of this Digital Progress and Trend Report 2023. So we are going to listen to her presenting the main point of the report for the next probably 30 minutes or so. Then I'll read the question that we received in advance from the audience and ask Yan to respond. If you did not have opportunities in advance to share your questions, please send your question using the online form posted on the announcement page of this seminar, or you can send your question directly by email to me, or you can simply post your question on the chat section of the YouTube screen. I'll read your question on your behalf and ask Yan to respond. So with that, I would like to invite Yan for coming in for presenting the main point of the Digital Progress and Trend Report 2023. Yan, please come in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Koichi, and good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today and share some insights from our recently published Digital Progress and Trends report. We all know that digitalization has been speeding up since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, there is a persistent and even widening digital divide, especially in the production, access, and usage of digital technologies. This digital divide is compounding the poverty and productivity divide. Therefore, tracking the status of the multidimensional digital divide, analyzing the causes and implications are critical to inform policymaking to close the gaps and ensure that no one is left behind. First, I will introduce the report series and the structure of the 2023 report. So this report tracks global, regional, and country-specific digital transformation progress and highlights policy trends, debates, and implications for low and middle-income countries. We are aware that there are already many digital reports out there, and we adopt a more comprehensive framework than many other digital reports, like those published by ITU or GISME. And we conduct novel analysis on three key aspects of the digital economy: digital adoption, which corresponds to the demand side of the digital economy; the digital sector, which is the supply side; and the digital infrastructure, which is the foundation for the digital economy. In the inaugural edition, the report also features two special chapters: how digital public infrastructure is transforming service delivery across sectors, and the implications of artificial intelligence for low and middle income countries. We plan to publish this report every 2 years to monitor market, technology, and policy trends in the first part and feature in-depth analysis on a special topic in the second part of this report. Let's now look at some numbers to understand the acceleration in digital transformation and the growing divide. Between 2018 and 2023, the world gained 1.6 billion new internet users. We now have 5.4 billion people using the internet worldwide, which accounts for 2/3 of the global population. The pandemic fueled this growth, especially in middle-income countries. As we can see from the chart on the left-hand side, nearly 90% of people in high-income countries were already online before the pandemic. The shares increased rapidly in upper middle income countries and even faster in lower middle income countries since 2018. Around 1/3 of the population in India and Mongolia hopped online since 2018, thanks to accelerated broadband rollout and government initiatives to boost internet usage. However, low-income countries are still lagging, with only 1 in 4 people using the internet as of 2022. There is also a stark and widening divide between richer and poorer countries when it comes to fixed broadband penetration. The chart on the right side shows that for every 100 people, there were nearly 40 fixed broadband subscriptions in high-income countries, about 31 subscriptions in upper middle-income countries, but only 4 in lower middle-income countries, and 0.5 in low-income countries. Compared to mobile internet, fixed broadband is generally faster, more reliable, and cheaper with lower latency. Fixed broadband connection is usually required for desktop computers, which are key productivity tools for the digital economy. Many lower-income countries are primarily relying on mobile broadband and mobile phones for internet usage. World Bank survey shows that more than half of firms in many developing countries don't even have a computer. Similarly, many households also lack a computer. Without a computer, people will not be able to perform more sophisticated and professional tasks. So without adequate fixed broadband such as fiber optic, it's almost impossible to develop a thriving and globally competitive digital economy. As the COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the pace of digitalization worldwide, the EAP region is also experienced a surge in internet users, increasing by 14% from 2019 to 2021. In 2022, 72% of people in EAP region, excluding high-income countries, used the internet. It's close to Middle East and North Africa's 33%, and notably below both Europe and Central Asia's 84% and Latin America's 77%. The regional average hides significant variations among individual economies. As we can see from this chart, Malaysia, as a middle-income country, has 97% of population online, even higher than some high-income countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. Conversely, less than half of the people in Myanmar, the Solomon Islands, and Papua New Guinea were online. Mobile broadband penetration was above 90 in most EAP economies. However, the Philippines lag other economies with only 60 mobile broadband subscriptions per 100 people. While China has a very high fixed broadband penetration on par with many high-income countries, it was below 5 fixed broadband subscriptions per 100 people in Myanmar, Cambodia, and Indonesia. Vietnam is an outperformer in Southeast Asia middle-income countries with a fixed broadband penetration of 22 in 2022. Cost remains the #1 factor for limited internet usage. The prices of broadband services and digital devices can be prohibitively high in some developing countries. Does anyone want to spend 1/3 of your monthly income on your home Wi-Fi plan? However, that is the reality in low-income countries, where just 5 GB of fixed broadband data can cost 1/3 of average monthly income per capita. Even mere 2 GB of mobile data can represent 10% of the average monthly income in low-income countries, as we see from the chart on the left side. A mobile phone is often the only device for people in developing countries to access the internet. However, the median price of a smartphone can amount to 60% of the average monthly income in low-income countries, while it is only 4% in high-income countries. One reason for such unaffordable smartphones is heavy tax burden. In many low-income countries, the government already struggles with tax revenue collection, and mobile phones is a great source of tax revenue. So these countries often impose heavy tax burden on smartphone imports, which further pushes up smartphone prices. Within the EAP region, fixed broadband is particularly unaffordable in small states, Myanmar, and the Philippines. An entry-level smartphone can cost 40 to 50% of average monthly income in Mongolia and Cambodia. Promoting competition and infrastructure sharing, reducing taxes on internet services and devices, together with targeted interventions such as innovative financing schemes for mobile devices, can make the internet more accessible in these economies. Even larger gaps are forming in internet speeds and data usage. Internet speed is a core measure of internet quality. Internet speeds have rocketed ahead in high-income countries since the pandemic, while lower-income countries are struggling to keep up. As of 2023, median mobile and fixed broadband speeds in high-income countries are 5 and 10 times of those in low-income countries, respectively. In lower middle-income countries, median internet speeds hover around 20 megabits per second, while speeds were only around 10 megabits per second in low-income countries. With this kind of internet speed, it is almost impossible to stream high-quality video content or have video conferencing. Previously, we talked about how many people use the internet, which is usage on the extensive margin. However, how much people use the internet matters even more. Data traffic per capita measures the internet usage on the intensive margin and reflects the maturity of a country's digital economy. Divides in device ownership, connection type, quality, and affordability have jointly contributed to the huge gaps in data traffic per capita. As you can see from the chart on the right side, median fixed broadband data traffic per capita in high-income countries are thousands of times higher than that in low-income countries. Low internet speed and unaffordable internet services have major implications on what people and businesses can do online. Imagine what people and businesses can do with just 1 gigabyte or 2 gigabytes of data consumption per month or even per year. Things we take for granted, such as online schooling or telemedicine, telehealth, these can be very difficult in some poor countries. Similarly, there are huge disparities in internet speed and data consumption across EAP countries. While Singapore enjoys internet speed of nearly 240 megabits per second, speed was only 20 to 30 megabits per second in Lao PDR, Indonesia, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Fiji. Data traffic per capita in Mongolia, Indonesia, and Cambodia has tripled since 2019 and reached around 300 gigabytes per capita in 2022. But that's only a fraction of the 2,000 gigabytes observed in South Korea and Hong Kong. In addition to how many people are using the internet and how much data people consume, we also care about what people are doing exactly online. The pandemic and mobility restrictions have induced some durable changes in people's preference and behavior. Using novel big data on app usage around the world, we found that the usage of business, education, finance, medical, health, and shopping apps gained a significant boost during the pandemic. A country's lockdown stringency is a significant predictor of higher downloads and longer time spent on these apps, even 12 months after the lockdown, indicating that people's behavioral changes are lasting. Downloads of business apps such as Zoom and Excel surged by 75% in March 2020 at the height of the pandemic, and the time spent on these apps more than doubled. The acceleration in digital payments and e-commerce are also notable and persistent. As we can see from the chart on the right-hand side, total time spent on e-commerce and finance apps have increased by more than 60% by the end of 2022 compared to early 2019. Now we shift gears from digital adoption by people to adoption by businesses. Firms have started embracing digitalization like never before since the pandemic, but large firms are pulling further ahead of small firms. Based on the World Bank's Business Pulse survey, the share of firms investing in digital technologies worldwide has doubled from 10% in the beginning of the pandemic to 20% by the end of 2022 for micro firms, but tripled from 20% to 60% for large firms. Firms in the EAP region have been the front runner in digitalization. The share of EAP firms that invested in digital solutions quadrupled from 13% in early 2020 to 54% by the end of 2022, much higher than any other developing region. Firms' pre-pandemic digital readiness and good management practices predicted a higher probability of investing in and usage of digital technologies. Firms that invested in digital solutions also showed greater resilience in sales, as shown in the chart on the right side. Their sales only dropped by half the level compared to those firms that did not invest in digital solutions. The adoption of digital technologies is crucial, but let's not forget about the production side. The digital sector, which includes the ICT sector, digital platforms, and broader business process outsourcing services, has been a driving force behind innovation, economic growth, and job creation. The number of patent publications in computer technology has skyrocketed by 27 times from 1980 to 2021, surpassing any other technology fields, as shown in the chart on the left. These technological advances naturally fuel economic growth and job creation in the digital sector. The annual growth rate of value added in the IT services sector reached 8% during the past 2 decades, nearly twice as fast as the rest of the global economy. And when it comes to employment growth, IT services sector outperformed with an average annual growth rate of nearly 7%, almost 6 times faster than total employment growth. Most countries have experienced a robust job creation in IT services sector. Global employment in IT services has quadrupled from 8 million in 2000 to 32 million in 2022. China has by far the highest employment in IT services of over 10 million people and achieved a breakneck growth of nearly 20% during the past 2 decades. Vietnam and Nigeria also witnessed such brisk growth, around 20% every year. Women are persistently underrepresented in IT services. Women make up half of the global population, 40% of the global workforce, and only 29% of total employment in IT services in 2022. This is up from 23% in 2010. As we can see from the chart on the right side, the women to men ratio in IT services sector is below the economy-wide ratio in most countries, as most of these dots fall below the 45-degree line. Many developing countries have actually led progress in bringing more women into the tech workforce, as these well-paying and flexible jobs offer more career opportunities for women than in some traditional industries. Kyrgyz Republic and Albania are notable examples, with their women-to-men ratio in IT services reaching about 0.8, even higher than their economy-wide ratio. In the EAP region, the IT services sector grew even faster than the global average, achieving a 9.4% annual growth in value added and 8.5% annual growth in employment during 2015 to 2022. Much of this growth was driven by China, where annual growth in employment reached 20% and now has the largest IT workforce globally. Vietnam has also become a key IT services hub in Southeast Asia, thanks to its high fixed broadband penetration, strong STEM education, young workforce, and government support. The gender gap in EAP's IT services sector is narrowing, but significant gaps remain in Southeast Asia, especially in Cambodia, where women account for less than 10% of employment in IT services. Major gender gaps also persist in Mongolia. Brunei, Singapore, China, and the Philippines have higher women's participation in IT services. ICT inputs are also increasingly used as intermediate inputs in other sectors. During the past two decades, IT services contributed to a much higher share of total intermediate input cost across all sectors, as we can see from the chart on the left side. Modern services such as financial services, professional and technical services, and ICT services have the highest intensity of IT inputs, as these industries use databases, software, cloud computing, and AI to optimize their operations and inform their decision-making. On the contrary, agriculture, accommodation, real estate, education, and healthcare industry have the lowest IT services input intensity. IT services input intensity almost doubled in high-income and upper-middle-income countries during the past 2 decades, as shown in the right side chart. However, it has not seen any growth in lower-middle-income countries or low-income countries. This indicates that poorer countries have yet to fully leverage the productivity spillovers that digital transformation can offer. Different countries pursue different strategies to create value in the digital sector based on their existing and latent comparative advantages. For many developing countries, the export-oriented pathway is often the first step. The IT services segment has been the most dynamic category of international trade for the past decade, providing a new export-led growth pathway for countries to expand and diversify their economies. IT services export has been growing at an impressive 12% annually during 2015 to 2022, surpassing all other services categories. By 2022, IT services has become the third largest services export category, right after transport and travel. Due to lower entry barrier and soaring demand, many developing countries have achieved remarkable growth in IT services exports, often surpassing 20% annually. The EAP region, excluding high-income countries, achieved the highest growth in ICT services exports. Export value nearly tripled from 2015 to 2022, as shown in the chart on the left. This was also mainly driven by strong growth in China. China exported $83 billion of ICT services in 2022, right after Ireland and India as the third largest ICT services exporter. Singapore, Japan, and Korea also recorded annual growth above 15%. The Philippines has become a leading export in Southeast Asia's middle-income countries. Indonesia's ICT services exports grew even faster, although from a lower base. In addition to the export-oriented pathway, homegrown digital firms are also springing up in developing countries to fill local market gaps. The EAP region has emerged as an attractive destination for venture capital investment, mirroring the region's thriving digital entrepreneurship landscape. As a critical source of funding for startups and firms with high growth potential, venture capital plays an important role in the highly dynamic and innovative digital sector. Between 2020 and 2022, digital startups in China received more than $100 billion VC investment, second only to the United States. During the same period, Indonesia surpassed Japan by securing $11 billion in VC funding, positioning itself as the first largest recipient in the EAP region. Southeast Asian economies have also developed a burgeoning digital economy, with VC investments ranging from Thailand's $0.8 billion to the Philippines' $2.8 billion. Most VC deals in developing countries concentrate in e-commerce, fintech, health and education platforms, and entertainment platforms. Most digital startups from developing countries have yet to find success in the business-facing segment or deep tech segment, such as chip design, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. The app market is also becoming more local and less global, as domestic apps make up the increasing share of the top 100 most downloaded apps in most countries where data is available. But the growth potential of these digital startups from developing countries remains to be seen. While product localization has been crucial for their success in their home countries, their products and business models may be less relevant or transferable in foreign markets. In the first chart, we can see China, Korea, and Japan are the most localized app markets globally, largely due to their unique languages and strong cultural identities. In EAP, except for Korea and Japan, there has been a notable shift towards local apps in the digital marketplace between 2015 and 2022. China has seen its homegrown apps tighten their grip on the domestic market, with their presence in the top 100 downloads climbing from 92% to 98%. In many other countries, such as Vietnam, Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines, the share of domestic apps similarly increased. Well, US apps continue to lead globally, and they have a 40% probability of entering the top 50 most downloaded apps in foreign markets. Chinese apps are demonstrating strong regional and global market penetration as well, with a 12% chance of ranking in the top 50 most downloaded apps within the EAP region and a 7.3% probability in other regions. Several Chinese apps have gone viral globally and rank among the top 5 most downloaded apps in dozens of countries. Additionally, apps produced by Vietnam have also achieved a comparable foreign market success to that of established economies like Singapore and Australia. The EAP region hosts several leading economies in ICT manufacturing, including China, Taiwan, Korea, and Japan. The EAP region alone accounted for 60% of global value added and 75% of employment in ICT manufacturing. China alone represents more than 1/3 of global employment in ICT manufacturing. China and Taiwan have achieved double-digit annual growth in ICT manufacturing value added, while employment remained relatively stable since 2010. South Korea has also recorded positive growth, while Japan's value added and employment in ICT manufacturing declined. Vietnam has seen sizzling growth in both value added and employment in the ICT manufacturing sector at 28% and 15% respectively. The US-China trade tensions, the COVID-19 pandemic, and supply chain disruptions have galvanized multinational companies to diversify their supply chains away from China. Vietnam has clearly become the biggest winner. Malaysia and Thailand also benefited as they have also experienced rapid growth in their ICT manufacturing value added and employment growth. We are living in an unprecedented age of data, information, and knowledge. Today, more than 1 billion videos are viewed on TikTok every day. Over 9 billion searches are made on Google. This data explosion is made possible by rapid advancements in digital technologies, which have greatly expanded the range and types of data that are generated, stored, and processed. Data infrastructure, such as internet exchange points and data centers, have become vital to the digital economy. These facilities not only lower the cost of data exchange among different players, but also underpin cloud computing, big data analytics, and artificial intelligence. As of 2022, nearly 60% of internet exchange points and 3/4 of connected data centers are in high-income countries. Developing countries need to ramp up investments in data infrastructure to enable faster, easier, and more cost-efficient deployment of digital services. The EAP region, excluding high-income countries, accounted for 27% of global population, 21% of GDP, and only 14% of data center capacity in 2022. High-income countries represent just 16% of global population, but 3/4 of data center capacity. In high-income countries, there were 3.4 connected data centers serving per million population. In EAP region, the ratio was only 0.39, lower than Europe and Central Asia. China alone accounts for 80% of the data center capacity in low and middle-income countries in EAP. The benefits of data cannot be utilized if data are not exchanged smoothly and safely across organizations and jurisdiction borders. A new concept that has rose in prominence during the pandemic is digital public infrastructure. DPI refers to the basic capabilities that are the building blocks for developing digital services at a societal scale. DPI can be described as the intermediate layer between physical infrastructure and sectoral applications. The most common types of DPI include platforms and systems for digital identification, digital payments, and data sharing. The countries that had elements of DPI in place were generally more resilient. Research by the World Bank Group found that these countries reached 3 times more beneficiaries with emergency cash transfers during the pandemic than those countries that did not have DPI. As of 2021, 850 million people worldwide still do not have any form of official identity. Additionally, 5 billion people live in countries without a digital ID that can be used for secure online access to public and private sector services. Nearly 76 million people in EAP still don't have any form of ID, representing 3% of the total population. The issue is most pronounced in Lao PDR and Papua New Guinea, where 40% of their population lack any official ID. Many Pacific Island countries, Cambodia, Myanmar also have more than 10% of their population without any ID. Most EAP countries, except for high-income countries, Mongolia and China, have yet to implement an online digital identity system. Transactions are increasingly going digital. In a median high-income country, 60% of people shopped online and 77% made a digital merchant payment in 2021. However, the median EAP country only has 36% of the people shopping online and only 18% making digital merchant payments. Within the EAP region, online shopping and digital payments are widely adopted in Mongolia, Thailand, and Malaysia. However, in the Philippines, Myanmar, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Lao PDR, only less than half of the adults shopped online, and digital payments were used by less than 20% of the adults. These statistics underscores the need to address the gaps in DPI to empower people and businesses, enhance their access to services, and enable broader participation in the digital economy. Artificial intelligence, particularly generative AI, has a potential to transform industries, boost productivity, and improve lives. AI can address the shortage of doctors and teachers in developing countries, make healthcare and education more accessible. AI can also enhance access to credit and insurance, predict disasters, and improve resilience. However, AI is not an unalloyed good. We cannot ignore the challenges. AI automation threatens jobs, widens inequality, and raises concerns about privacy and algorithmic bias. AI can also deepen social divides, turbocharge misinformation, and pose cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Developing countries have even more reasons to be concerned about AI. The productivity gains from AI is likely to be concentrated in rich countries. while AI can devalue the comparative advantages of developing countries. Eventually, AI may widen the gap between rich and poor countries. There is a lot of uncertainty about the direction, pace, scale, and impact of changes brought by AI. It is critical for the global community, including low and middle-income countries, to jointly shape the direction of AI innovations, coordinate the pace and scale of their applications, forecast, monitor, and assess the impacts, and prepare for how to mitigate the adverse effects. Finally, to conclude, here are three big takeaways. Number one is COVID-19 kicked the digital revolution into high gear, but the digital divide is widening, especially for lower income countries, vulnerable populations, and small businesses, compounding the poverty and productivity divide. Number two, the digital sector is a powerhouse of innovation, growth, and job creation. Certain ICT BPO experts have created a new export-led growth pathway for developing countries. Homegrown digital firms in developing countries are also gaining momentum in their domestic markets by pursuing product localization. Number three, the data explosion is reshaping everything, and developing countries need to step up their game, invest in high-quality broadband infrastructure and data hosting infrastructure, build inclusive DPI platforms, develop digital skills, and carve out a new development path to prepare for the wave of disruption that AI may bring. That's all for my presentation. Thank you. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Yan, for sharing the main point specifically related to the East Asia and the Pacific region of the report with us. Thank you. We received some question, and some question also came in during the presentation. So let me read the question that we got in advance. First one, to offer access to internet in developing countries, electrification seems the key, and African countries continue facing electrification challenges. Would you please talk about the importance of power energy for more people to be able to access the internet? So this is the first question. Any comment, please? Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you cannot use the internet without electricity. We know that as of 2023, nearly 800 million people worldwide still do not have access to electricity, and most of these people are concentrated in Africa. In countries like Chad and South Sudan, only 1 in 10 people have access to electricity. So it is premature to talk about digital transformation in these countries when most people do not even have energy. Advances in artificial intelligence also makes affordable and reliable electricity and renewable energy even more important. We know AI data centers and model training require significant electricity, and they are driving up overall power consumption. Continuous operation of AI systems in critical applications like in healthcare, finance, transportation, they also depend on stable power supply. And the high electricity demand emphasizes the need for renewable energy sources and sustainable practices. So enhanced electrical infrastructure and investment in renewable energy and resilience are very necessary to support the growing power needs of the digital age.
Thank you very much for your responses. Let me read the second question. How does the World Bank further push digitalization through its lending, knowledge services, and technical cooperation? In addition to increasing the project directly dealing with the digital development, introducing digitalization lens for non-digital regular sectoral or multi-sectoral projects and programs so that digital element can be incorporated in existing and planned non-digital activities. So this is the second point and the question raised. So any comment and responses, please? Thank you.
Yeah, excellent question. So after so many years of operation, we fully recognize that many developing countries, they face significant barriers in digital transformation, and these barriers are related, including infrastructure challenges relating to the availability, price, and quality of infrastructure or shortage of digital skills for using and creating digital products, market failures in the digital production, such as network effects and dominant players, as well as regulatory and policy challenges involving data governance, cybersecurity, trade, investment, competition, and taxation. So the World Bank fully recognizes the importance of accelerating digital transformation in developing countries. In fact, we are creating a new digital transformation vice presidency to consolidate our resources and provide better offerings for our client countries on digital transformation. One concrete thing we are doing is we have started the Accelerating Digitalization Global Challenge program to respond to digital opportunities and challenges by enhancing the speed, scale, and impact of World Bank Group's financing and knowledge work. We are exploring three key focus areas. The first one is digital foundations on quality broadband and data hosting, as well as enhancing device affordability, because people cannot use the internet if they cannot afford a smartphone or computers. The second area we are focusing on are data platforms that include digital ID, digital payment, and data sharing systems, basically the DPI element we just talked about. And the third focus area is select high-impact digital services, such as digital payments, digital services in healthcare, digital services in education, and social transfer, these kind of digital services. We have set ambitious targets to enable at least 1 billion people worldwide in developing countries to begin using these high-impact digital services by 2030. We aim to bring together public and private sector together to catalyze investment, drive demand, and leverage technology innovations. We are also enhancing our knowledge generation, sharing, and peer-to-peer learning. We are in the process of building a digital academy to create a dynamic learning environment for sharing knowledge, lessons, and good practices to drive innovation and capacity building. Actually, the first digital academy, we plan to host it in Japan this September or October. And we're taking an ecosystem approach and not just increasing investments in projects that directly relate to digital sector. We're working seamlessly with other sectoral GPs, IFC, NIGA, and the private sector to embed digital solutions across sectors. Our portfolio in digital health, digital and energy, digital agriculture, education technology, and many other sectors are growing very rapidly. So we fully recognize that it takes a whole ecosystem, and we are not just investing in digital infrastructure or digital sector alone, but trying to facilitate the adoption and usage of digital technologies across sectors.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive response, including interesting plan to organize event in Japan. The next question. International Telecommunication, ITU, is active in ICT and digital area among UN agencies. How did the team collaborate with them to prepare and come up with a report? Any future plans to further collaboration with them? Any comment, please? Thank you.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, we all know ITU is the organization, the UN organization that is responsible for all telecommunication and in the digital space. So we have been collaborating with ITU and several other organizations like GSMA and OECD and several others on data and analytics. We have invited several senior ITU colleagues as advisors and peer reviewers of this report since the planning stage, and we use ITU data extensively. We also have frequent meetings with ITU colleagues to discuss the data and knowledge gaps and brainstorm on how to better address these gaps. So our next digital progress and trends report will focus on AI, and we are pursuing a similar approach. We have been in frequent contact with several ITU colleagues to explore collaboration areas. We are doing something together on the climate implications of artificial intelligence and what AI means for future telecom, data centers, and a range of digital infrastructure and related data regulation considerations. So definitely, we plan to maintain our close collaboration with ITU and also GISME and several other organizations in our future analytical work.
Thank you for your responses. Question that we received from Zahiru from the Saitama University during the session. Thank you, Zahiru, for your question. Question is this: though some medium income countries have internet accessibilities which are better than low income countries, but due to the lack of the accountability of the digital government or e-services, sometimes internet accessibility is not so effective to enhance the overall quality of the life of the citizens. Isn't it also an indicator to measure digital progress? This is a question comment from Zahiru from Saitama University. Any response comment on this, please? Thank you.
Thank you for your excellent question. Yes, absolutely. I think this question is more specifically about government's digital services, right? So we indeed explore several existing measures on government digital services. As we all know, this is super important for people to interact with the government, not just people, but also businesses, on social registry or paying taxes or receiving information. Government provide a range of digital services, and those can really make a big difference on people's lives and business efficiency. But indeed, as you pointed out, government capacity in their digital service delivery varies hugely across countries. So existing data, we have the UN e-government index, and the World Bank Group also has another GovTech maturity index. We compared the two and we see, of course, it's not surprising that most African countries have the lowest digital government capacity, especially when it comes to their digital service delivery. It's totally understandable that many of these people still even lack energy access, and there are also constraints related with the quality of their digital infrastructure and digital skills. So while there are also challenges in accurately measuring a government's digital service delivery, because existing measures, they largely ask how many or what percentage of your government services can be delivered online. But sometimes people just check boxes, and these questionnaires tend to be filled out by government officials. And they sometimes do not have a full picture of what our users' experience and what share of users are satisfactory with these government digital services. So that's why we did not include a systematic comparison of government digital capacity in this report, but we are planning to improve existing data on this by incorporating both the supply side perspective and the demand side perspective. So World Bank, we have the business ready survey, which used to be called doing business. Now we are having an improved version, and we are asking experts and businesses and people how much do you use government digital services and how satisfactory these services are. Hopefully in the next few years, we will have better data on this and better understanding. And we're also supporting many developing countries to improve their government service delivery to their citizens and businesses.
Thank you for your responses. Related to the point raised by Jan, in fact, in early June, we are going to have the manager for the governance sector, the global practice, who actually is specifically working on the GovTech use of technology in governance. And we are going to organize some sort of seminar during his stay. So please stay tuned and take advantage of the opportunity to further discuss with our expert on that area. So with that, thank you very much, Jan. You responded to all the questions that we received. So before wrapping up, before closing, any final remarks, any final comment from you, then we'll wrap up. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Kochi and everyone. I don't have further remarks. If you have any feedback or comments, suggestions on our reports, the future directions and topics, please just let me know.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. With us this morning, connecting from US. Actually, she's now in California. Yan Liu, who is a senior economist in the digital development global practice, who presented the latest report, Digital Progress and the Trend Report 2023, which was released in March this year. Thank you very much for your time, Yan, to join us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach and everyone. Have a great day.
Great, thank you very much. Next week, we are going to organize a interesting hybrid seminar. So you can join both virtually or actually face-to-face at our office. We are going to feature the Global Environment Facility, GEF. Aoki-san, who is the expert of the environment at the GEF, will be in town next week. We are going to organize this seminar on May 23 in the morning at the World Bank Tokyo office. You can also join this seminar virtually. So please take advantage of this also as an opportunity to collect the latest information about what the GEF is doing. With that, once again, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice weekend and see you next time. Thank you.